So, it's already 10:30. This next page, these are just some question and answer. I thought, just read over this when you go home. If something goes wrong, it's just kind of like, well, what happened? What went wrong? Why does my meat always turn out dry or tough? Did you let fill it during cooking? Don't do that. You know, did your recipe contain enough acid to tenderize the meat? So that's why tomato sauce, citric acid like orange juice, a juice, that kind of thing is really good to help tenderize the meat. That helps your meat not turn out dry or tough. I kind of talked about that earlier. Did you cook it too long? Some people think you really can just stick it in there and it'll be fine 12 hours later. Well, that doesn't work exactly. And I've done that. I've burned the heck out of food before, thinking I can just put my roast in there and no matter what, it'll be okay. And it doesn't. So pay attention to the directions and how long that you need to cook. So, like for example, the caramel apple bread pudding we're sampling later, that's just a 3-hour dish. You know, and they this whole big thing. I put in at 5:30. This is my 12:30, my 2:30, and my 5:30. It didn't dawn on me until yesterday. Oh my gosh, this has to be finished by in the morning. And so I set my alarm during the night to set off. So I put this as, well, I get up early anyway. This one was not a big deal. The 2:30 one I was not happy. That's okay. Okay, and then anyway, you can read over these. Did you cut your meat into pieces that were too small? Was your cut of meat too tender? That's like what I was talking about earlier. If you think you're splurging and getting a really tender cut of meat, it might just fall apart to mush. This is your chance to save money and use a cheaper cut of meat. And another thing I found that I love about this is I love meat. I'm not a vegetarian. I tried it for 10 days one time. And
10 days.
Yes, and I eat meat like a crazy person on the 10th day, but I cannot do it. I know, I try it. I don't want to eat as much as I do. I want to cut back on meat. We don't need it every day. You really don't. And so I found with Crock Pot, I'll eat less meat because I cook with vegetables and sauce, and I can make a stew or soup. And your family will eat less meat if you just kind of put some effort into it, and they'll never know. You know, I have all men in my house, so meat, they'll feel deprived if it's vegetarian lasagna or whatever. But I make a and I put this one in here for you. I make a vegetarian lasagna in there, and nobody notices, cares, or whatever. So that's just an aside. But I've just kind of anecdotally noticed that I can use less meat in my crock pot than I can get away with like a plate of where's my meat, where's my potato, where's my vegetable. So anyway, okay. And so all right, the recipes. I'll go over. I made 3 today. I think I put 10 in here for y'all to take home. And I made 3 of them, and then we'll sample them, and then if I have some volunteers, I'm going to show y'all how to make this apple bread pudding for the next class this afternoon. It'll be finished by the time they get here. So, and because it was a little different, I thought y'all may not think about, do you do desserts in your crock pot? Whatever. Yeah, there's a ton of great desserts out there. For the crock pot, it was hard to find a healthy one. They had this great lava cake. I thought, can I do that? And just say, I'm sorry, one of them is not healthy. But I thought, no, that's not why you signed up, so I better not do that. Then I had this pumpkin spice bread pudding. I was going to make that, and I went over these with my mother, and she, who's taught me how to cook. She goes, that's just disgusting. And I read her the recipe. She goes, nobody's going to eat that, Lee. And there was I had a recipe for vegetarian enchilada casserole that she didn't make your cut either. But the pumpkin bread pudding one sounds good, but it was like breadcrumbs, and it was just weird ingredients, and I had not made it before. She said, I really don't think you really want to. She goes, I wouldn't eat it at your class. Yes, ma'am. So I found one. We'll get to that in a minute, but it's from Sandra Lee on the Food Network, and she's the semi-homemade lady or whatever. And I don't use a lot of her recipes, but this one I liked a lot. So okay, at the beginning, turkey and black bean chili. This is a recipe I just kind of made up from a beef chili recipe and adapted it healthier. I use lean brown turkey, and you can use very lean brown meat, I should say that. You don't have to stick to the 85-15. You can go ahead. You know what I'm talking about when I say that. Okay, you can use like the 93.7 or whatever, the leanest meat you can find. I use a lot of venison actually because everybody hunts in my house, And so I actually don't buy a lot of ground beef anyway, but I changed this to lean ground turkey, and I added beans. This was an original Texas recipe with no beans, but beans are so good for you. I mean, they're a great source of fiber and protein, and they're a way you can leave off meat too, you know. But anyway, so I added the black beans just because I like black beans, but you could use any bean you wanted. And if you want to make it a little healthier, the cornmeal, all it does is act as a thickener. And so you'll see the consistency up here. I added it in there so you can see what it looks like. It's still kind of thin, but if you're wanting to cut carbohydrates or you don't eat corn, or that's the only purpose it's in there, is to thicken it. So if you don't, I don't mind a soupy chili, and so I would probably leave it out at home. I would go ahead and make cornbread though to go with it. That's where I have problems, you know. Yeah.